Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand some interesting things about Mrigashira Nakshatra. Mrigashira Nakshatra ranges from 23 degree 20 minutes of Taurus to 6 degree 40 minutes of Gemini. So you can clearly see two padas of Mrigashira are in Taurus and two padas of Mrigashira are in Gemini. Basically, the third and fourth padas of Mrigashira are in Gemini. So, Mrigashira is the first Martian nakshatra. There are totally three Martian nakshatras. Among them, Mrigashira is the first one. And of course, the second one is Chitra, and then the third one is Dhanishta. So Mrigashira is the initiator, or it's the seed of Martian energy, and it is represented in the celestial firmament by a bright star and three not so bright stars in the constellation of Orion. So if you see Orion, right, you can type in Google or you can check anywhere. So basically every nakshatra is group of stars, and Mrigashira basically is a group of it's a bright star and three not so bright stars in the constellation of Orion. So these stars, these four stars basically forming Mrigashira Nakshatra. So the bright star is in modern astronomy is called as Bellatrix. Bellatrix is the bright star among these four with a visible magnitude of 1.66, and the visible magnitude and brightness are inversely related. If the visible magnitude is lesser, then the brightness is more. If you see visible magnitude of Rohini Nakshatra consists of a single star, Alpha Tauri, the single star, the rosy star, and its visible magnitude is 0.99, right? So you can imagine the brightness of it. And the Mrigashira, which is combination of four stars, in those four stars, one star has a visible magnitude of 1.66, and of course the other three stars have higher visible magnitude than this, and they are not so brighter than this particular Bellatrix. So it's very easy to locate in the night sky, as Orion is one of the most prominent and easily noticeable constellations in the night sky. Bellatrix is the bright star at the top right hand corner of Orion. If you observe in the night sky, if you observe Orion constellation, in the Orion constellation, you can clearly see at the top right hand corner of Orion, that is basically the Mrigashira main component, the brightest component of Mrigashira. While the other three stars are not so bright, they are a bit faint stars, can be seen aligned in a bow-like formation a little away on the right hand side of Bellatrix. So Bellatrix is very prominently looking in the night sky at the top right hand corner of Orion, and the other three not so bright stars of Mrigashira, they are a little away on the right hand side of Bellatrix, forming a bow-like structure. So the ancient Vedic rishis, however, saw these stars to be forming a deer's head, and we would soon understand why our ancient Vedic rishis considered it as forming a deer's head. So basically, Mrigashira Nakshatra consists of four stars. One brighter with visual magnitude of 1.66. Of course, it has good brightness, and the other three stars are a bit faint or not so bright, you can say. What is Mrigashira basically? Mrigashira, Shira means head. Mriga is generally in ancient literature mainly used for deer. So basically, Mrigashira translates into the deer's head. So one can immediately see the correlation between the shape formed by its stars and its name. So the story behind this name is dealt with this particular deer's head, right? We will see that, of course. So one can also make an obvious inference that this particular nakshatra's nature and quality should be akin to that of a deer. So when you talk about Mrigashira, you talk about deer. The native may have some deer's qualities. And of course, there are some other names for Mrigashira Nakshatra. Those are Saumya. So Saumya meaning a benevolent or relating to Soma. Soma is divine nectar. So when you talk about Mrigashira, you talk about Soma. You talk about Soma. And there is another name for Mrigashira, that is Arghayani. Arghayani is start of the year. Arghayani is another name for Mrigashira. So generally some people, if they are very much fascinated about astrology, and if their son or daughter is actually born in the nakshatra, in the Mrigashira nakshatra, they may name a person, the native, as Arghayani. Arghayani just means as a start of the year. So, and Mrigashira is also called as Chandra. Some people call it as Chandra. So generally, Mrigashira Nakshatra native people may name, may have a name like Chandra, right? So Chandra, it means moon, right? Chandra means moon. And there is another name for Mrigashira, that is Udupa. Udupa or Udupa, we say, which is also another name for moon, basically. Udupa. So, it's basically Mrigashira has different names here, but basically it's all rotated around moon. It's all rotated around Soma Rasa or Soma, the divine nectar. And of course, we will explore more about Mrigashira, right? Then we can come to know more and more great things about this particular nakshatra. And the main symbol of this nakshatra is deer. Some astrologers choose to have a deer's head as its symbol, right? Anything related to deer, basically. It's, of course, instead of saying deer, it's better you say deer's head, because the name is Mrigashira, right? It's the name basically. So deer's head can be actually the more appropriate symbolism for Mrigashira Nakshatra. The whole sum here, the whole point is its association with a deer makes this particular nakshatra possess all deer-like qualities such as timidity, lightness, fragility, fickleness, wandering. So this is all about Mrigashira. And the deer is seen as a primarily lunar animal. It has a lot of connection with moon, right? So you just observe the deer's movement on the day of Paurnami, the full moon day. So see, in all ancient Vedic literature, deers are associated with gentle aspects of nature and often play major role in romantic stories as well. Whenever you see some romantic stories in the Vedic literature, they're all connected with deer. And the deer is basically connected with Lord Moon. So deers are portrayed as elusive, magical, divine, and enchanting creatures. So in the Vedic epic of Ramayana, it was a magical deer, actually a demon. Of course, it was posing a animal like deer. So that caught Sita's attention. and her craving to possess it resulted in the disruption of her and Rama's martial felicity. Right? So, this is the reason why Mrigashira is associated with problems in married life through illusion. Right? So, when you talk about Mrigashira, you talk about Ramayana also. Ramayana, the story, in the Ramayana, the epic. There, we try to discuss this particular important thing, that is, because of some illusion, Sita uh, actually wanted that deer, and then Rama you know left Sita to bring that deer, and then Ravana came and he took away Sita. Right? So illusion and disruption in married life, that is actually connecting the dots here. So basically, Mrigashira is associated with problems in married life through illusion, or some kind of undue suspicion, or a kind of misunderstanding. Right? So Mrigashira is associated with problems in married life because of misunderstanding. So Ramayana, right? Everybody knows Ramayana generally, right? Generally, the people in India know Ramayana better, right? Otherwise, you can read Ramayana, the story, then you can understand the Vedic epic of Ramayana. It's not just a story; it actually happened in the land of India. So there are other stories associated with the deer aspect of this particular nakshatra. Um, we will try to cover in our upcoming videos, of course. So deers have a constant searching and seeking quality about them. Deers, they they try to search, they try to seek, searching and seeking, right? So that actually forms the essence of this particular nakshatra. See, as most hunters know, deers often roam around predictable trails. So, this nakshatra is related to all types of defined travel by road, air, etc. Right? So, very predictable trail. Right? So, deers more often than not like to be in scenic habitats. Similarly, this particular nakshatra feels comfortable only in scenic surroundings. Right? So, the scenic surroundings, Mrigashira nakshatra people, the natives, are associated with scenic surroundings. So, their roaming is predictable, a defined travel. And if you see, the alternative symbolism of Mrigashira Nakshatra is a pot full of soma, the soma rasa. Soma is the preferred drink of all the gods. It is a kind of celestial nectar associated with the moon. In fact, soma rasa, soma, is one of the Sanskrit names of the moon. And that's where in India Monday is called as Somvar, Somavara, right? Soma is actually moon, basically. So Soma is one of the Sanskrit names of the moon. Moon has a strong connection with Mrigashira Nakshatra, even though it is a Martian Nakshatra, right? So the main deity of this Nakshatra is the moon. And why it is a Martian Nakshatra, that also we will try to understand in our upcoming videos. But let me tell you, this particular nakshatra has a very strong connection with moon. So all the primary qualities of the moon: inconsistency, fickleness, changeability, tenderness, persuasiveness, gentleness, sensuality, perceptivity, all these qualities of moon, they're all applied to this particular nakshatra. So whenever a person has Mrigashira's energy, he can have these qualities. The inconsistency, because why inconsistency? Moon doesn't appear the same every day, right? Every day he either increases or decreases. This kind of behavior he shows, right? In Shukla Paksha, he goes and goes, he is in waxing phase, and one day you see Paurnami, the full moon day, and then later you would see moon waning, and suddenly you see the new moon day or Amavasya. There you don't find moon at all, right? So, inconsistency, the fickleness, moon is always associated with fickleness, but because he is not constant, right? Changeability is very much associated, and when you observe the moonlight, it is very, very tender. So the tenderness you will observe, the gentleness, the sensualness, all these things. The perceptivity is basically because moon represents the mind, basically. The perceptivity and everything is related to moon, basically, right? So whatever qualities you see related to moon, you can associate all of them with Mrigashira Nakshatra. So this nakshatra relates the most to the Soma aspect of moon. What is Soma aspect of moon? We'll understand. See, moon is known by many names, each reflecting a different aspect of its functioning, basically. So Soma represents the nectar aspect of moon. The nectar aspect of moon. See, moon is the ruler of all kinds of fluids on the material as well as astral plane. Fluids in turn are the essence of life, right? See, we can observe it through functioning of our own bodies. Our bodies are completely, they all have fluids. Our physical bodies are comprised of more than 60% of water and are biologically alive only because of the circulation of vital juices. Our body is full of juices. The fluid aspect of moon, the nectar aspect of moon associated with this particular, Soma means that one. Soma represents the nectar aspect of moon. Moon has the rulership of fluids. Moon has the rulership of fluids, right? Any kind of fluid. Moon is the ruler, you can say. Any kind of liquid. Moon is the ruler. So the physical counterpart of mind, the brain, is also dependent upon the transmission and interaction of fluids for its functioning. Right? So moon represents mind because moon is the king of moon has the rulership of fluids. So moon in its Soma aspect is related to this essential life force on the physical, mental, or astral, or any kind of plane you take. Fluids, when you talk about fluids, liquids, moon has the rulership. So this particular nakshatra relates to our life force and vitality through the presence and circulation of these vital fluids. Right? So moon relates to the feminine aspect of nature. In fact, it's a very fact, right? Moon is actually very, very feminine in nature. So this nakshatra Mrigashira has this feminine goddess energy. Ancient Vedic rishis saw this particular nakshatra as a seat of Shakti. Shakti means the primordial female energy, or the female goddess energy, you can say, right? Or female energy, or the primordial goddess energy is Shakti. Shakti is feminine, the super feminine energy, that is Shakti. So ancient rishis connected this particular nakshatra as a seat of Shakti. In fact, Parvati, the wife of Shiva, and one of the three main representatives of universal goddess energy, is the main presiding deity of this nakshatra. When you talk about Mrigashira, you talk about moon, you talk about goddess Parvati, and it is her own personal nakshatra. You can see it is her own personal nakshatra. And see, ancient Vedic texts say that her moon is in Mrigashira. Ancient text, if you observe, goddess Parvati's moon is in Mrigashira. She belongs to Mrigashira Nakshatra. All her qualities, if you observe, like you can see the charm, the changeability, compassion, playfulness, and joyfulness. These are all the moon's, beautiful qualities. Those are actually, you know, you can see those are all in this particular nakshatra, right? So goddess Parvati belongs to Mrigashira nakshatra. Her timidity and gentleness is not to be confused with cowardice, but she is very, very strong. You need to understand, goddess Parvati is basically Shakti. She is very, very strong, and she is very, very wrathful if necessary. Her fierce forms, if you see the fierce forms of her, are really, really, they are most fierce forms. They are actually Durga, Kali. Durga and Kali are the fierce forms of goddess Parvati. And of course, her moon is in Mrigashira. But so most astrologers usually they just ignore the fixed, strong-willed, and wrathful aspect of this nakshatra. But this nakshatra has that as well. The wrathful aspect of Mrigashira is still there. It's there. Because, see, Parvati, goddess Parvati, is basically tender in nature, is basically, very, very gentle in nature. But look at her fierce forms. Durga and Kali, most fierce forms. She is very wrathful in those forms, right? So the name Parvati, if you observe what is Parvati, it translates into she who has many parts, right? So you can clearly see the word, the name Parvati means she who has many parts. It's multifaceted personality of Mrigashira. Multifaceted personality of Mrigashira can be understood from this, right? So Parvati means who has many, many parts, something like multifaceted nature of it can be related to multifaceted nature of Mrigashira. And moon in its soma aspect, that is the nectar aspect, is an indulgent character with hundreds of romantic liaisons, right? So he's often seen getting into trouble due to his affairs with others' wives. According to one famous story, Mercury was produced out of the union of moon with Jupiter's wife, Tara, right? So Jupiter's wife, her name was Tara, and moon, this kind of story you might have heard, right? Mercury was actually produced out of the union of moon with Jupiter's wife Tara, right? So in a way, this story can be seen as the birth of intellect, because Mercury is intellect. It's just not, you cannot see even you can think in this one in terms of universal point of view as well. As I said, Kritika, the fire, and then Rohini, the earthy element, because Rohini is completely in the middle of Taurus, the earthy sign. So basically Rohini is earthy in nature, and Kritika is fire, the fire translating into earth. So initially there was no earth, earth was created from fire. Kritika to Rohini, the energy conversion, because Rohini is the expression. Rohini is expression of our desires, manifestation of our desires, right? As we discussed in our previous Rohini videos. So you can understand the creation of earth point of view, right? So in the universal point of view as well, the Mercury's energy was actually liberated from the union of moon and Tara. So if you think in terms of a theoretical in theoretical sense, if you see this particular story, the birth of intellect, because Mercury is intelligence basically, Jupiter is wisdom, Jupiter is not intelligence, Mercury is intelligence, logical thinking and all are related to Mercury. So the birth of intellect, the birth of intelligence, the birth of logical thinking, that is Mercury, is actually happened as a result of the union of mind and wisdom, because Jupiter is wisdom, moon is your mind, and when your mind has wisdom, the union of mind and wisdom, if you have, then intelligence, it gives birth to intelligence. In that aspect you need to see this story, right? So intellect is a more conscious force. Intellect is, you may think, what is intellect? Basically it's a conscious force which governs over the largely unconscious mind. So in the universal scheme of things, mind could not have just been by itself without a governing faculty for long, right? So it is the conscious force. Intellect is the conscious force. The mind is unconscious, you can say. Mind is just mind. It's unconscious, you can say. But the conscious force is intellect. The conscious force is intellect. Right? So, the essence of the nature and the functioning of, this particular nakshatra, you can sum up in one word, that is searching. Searching is Mrigashira. Mrigashira is searching. This searching can have any level or aspect to it. It can relate to Mrigashira's ruling deity Parvati searching for her perfect spouse, a spiritual aspirant searching for true knowledge, or a soul searching for new mental, emotional, or physical experiences. Basically, Mrigashira is seeking and searching. Seeking and searching. Right? And even Goddess Parvati has moon in Mrigashira, and she was searching for her perfect spouse. Right? Her searching was very, very significant in her life. So Mrigashira is the most curious among us all the nakshatras, because Mrigashira always seeks, always searches for something. So it makes one seek new areas of experience. Seeking. Mrigashira is seeking, searching. This aspect of Mrigashira is very similar to that of the planet Rahu. Right? So planet Rahu also passionately seeks for something. If it is functioning very well, right, that is good for the universe, of course. If it is functioning bad, the seeking for bad things would go on. So this particular seeking brings, what is seeking? When you seek for something, a seeking brings contentment, fulfillment, and enlightenment only when it is in keeping with one's life purpose. Your life purpose, if it is a divine purpose, then this particular seeking can lead to a very, very good things. In other cases, it only brings about temporary satisfaction. If your seeking is for normal things, it only brings you some temporary satisfaction, and that's some temporary satisfaction, and then again another temporary satisfaction. Finally, that may lead to some kind of sorrow or some kind of disillusionment, right? That's okay, but if that seeking is for bad things, then of course that is bad. So the seeking quality, the searching quality, that is what Mrigashira natives have generally. So generally Mrigashira natives are good at artistic pursuits of all types because of the seeking quality. On a higher level, Mrigashira may allow one to find one's life path or destiny, and on a lower level, it can just make one prance about like a deer from one transitory experience to the next, one temporary satisfaction to the next. Right? Just if it is functioning in a higher level, the person, let us say, if the person's horoscope has some spiritual energy, some 12th house energy, right? Then he has some Mrigashira energy also, and 12th house energy also, some Ketu in good position, then the person may seek for more spiritual energy, right? Where a person can have some kind of contentment, fulfillment, and enlightenment. So this seeking quality is Mrigashira basically. Seeking quality is Mrigashira. So let us say a person in a desert chasing one mirage after the other. That's just a kind of wasting of time, right? So when Mrigashira is acting in a lower level, the person believes in one temporary satisfaction and then a person goes to another temporary satisfaction. So this negative quality gives rise to many other negative traits like fickleness, inconsistency, and superficiality if Mrigashira is acting in a lower level. So whenever you're checking a horoscope, you need to understand if a person has a planet in Mrigashira Nakshatra, you can check if the planet is actually it's an afflicting planet to Mrigashira, or is it working in a good level for Mrigashira. We will discuss, of course, what planets work better in Mrigashira in our upcoming videos, right? If it is working in a higher level, of course, the seeking can be on good things, but if it is working in a lower level, the seeking is something like a person chasing, mirage after one after the other in a desert. So Mrigashira is seeking. Mrigashira is seeking. So Mrigashira natives often have to learn to stick at a thing until some sort of completion is achieved. They should have this kind of sticking to one thing. The whole emphasis of Mrigashira is on the mental rather than the physical plane. Mrigashira natives usually have great mind. They generally have good mind, right, which gives them the ability to grasp various subjects with effortless ease. They have a great capacity for all types of mental work, but they often stretch themselves and as a result suffer from mental and nervous exhaustion. Because, you know, if they want to seek multiple things, mental exhaustion can happen. The mind exhausts, right? If you seek for multiple things, that is a problem. That's how, when a person has some Mrigashira energy in the horoscope, you need to check how the person's seeking is impacting his personal life or his life. He is fickle minded, or he's working in a lower level and going from one to another very quickly and just not having some completion and just relying upon some temporary satisfaction. You need to check. We'll see what planets work better in Mrigashira in our upcoming videos, of course. So they usually need a lot of clean air and physical exercise like walking to balance their mental energy. So when a person has Mrigashira, you need to understand the mental energy of the person. How is the mental energy? How the planet, is it really afflicting the energy? Is the planet is really helping the mental energy? So a lot of Mrigashira types, a lot of Mrigashira natives are prone to physical lethargy, you know, so that make them functionally useless, makes them susceptible to physical ailments. So Mrigashira natives, the seekingness, how much is the seeking? Is the seeking constant? Is the seeking going very smooth? You need to check it. Mrigashira natives are usually they have this kind of uh, delicate features. They are kind of smiley people, jovial, light-hearted people, warm also, gentle. They have gentle manners, right? So thanks for watching this video. We'll try to understand about Mrigashira Nakshatra in our upcoming videos. Thank you.